We got a couple injury situations that I want to update. First of all, Tanner Allen, fell in the Sunday game at Long Beach State, came back, got evaluated, had surgery on Tuesday for a broken bone in his hand. Right now, we don't have a timetable for him to come back. Is where we're at with him. Injury number 2 is JT Ginn. He had been evaluated, had surgery yesterday on his elbow. He'll be out indefinitely. So 2 of our guys right there, I know you guys have had a lot of questions about. I appreciate your professionalism with those guys, but kind of where we're at with both of those guys. So very crushing, for in some ways as their coach, not for our team as much as for these guys who've worked really hard and put so much time and effort into it. And you hate that you have to have any time out. TA could be back here, but JT will be out for the season. So you hate it for those guys and their families as they're going through some of these things.
What did JT have done?
He just had surgery on his elbow. I can't go into everything
gotcha.
on him for stuff, but he had that taken care of. So
you said on Monday you were starting to make moves to change the rotation. Will that happen this weekend?
Yeah, we're going to go Christian McLeod on Friday night, trying to get him bumped up, and we'll go with Will Bednar on Saturday, and we will go Eric Sarantola on Sunday. Will be our rotation for the weekend.
Will, obviously, it's been a good long reliever for you. So, what have you seen from him that makes you think that he's ready to be a weekend guy?
Well, he just, he has power stuff, and as we get into SEC play, you feel like you need some strikeout stuff, and he was coming along slow. He didn't pitch a lot in the fall because he had an injury coming out of high school, so he pitched a little bit in the fall and was slower than everybody else coming out of spring training. So we just used him as a reliever. So now having him out there full time and building him up, that's why even on Saturday we're building up his pitch count. If you watch him in some of those starts, we've been trying to get to 40 to 50 to 60, and he got in the mid 60s last week. So we feel like he's at that point.
How hard is it getting a team ready or getting a team progressing when you lose midweek games like you have the last two out of 3 weeks, I guess?
We've only had 1 week of midweeks, so we've lost the one. So it's tough. I mean, it was just, nobody wants to lose at home anywhere. So we've done a pretty good job with our midweeks.
No, I mean, when I said lose, I mean not play.
Oh, when you say not play, yeah, that's awful. So I feel like I need an ark down here. So I got construction in my house too. I can't, my backyard's a flood zone and the field's a flood zone, and so that's been pretty tough to deal with the last couple weeks too. But everybody's dealing with it. So we got to jump out there and be ready to play and get playing good baseball.
So you're going to make these games up or at least find another couple of games and get back to 56 if that's possible.
We're trying, but it's hard. I mean, it's hard when you get past the early part of the season because then you get into SEC play and you have other midweek scheduled. So, and this one's in Pearl. So this one's going to be the hardest one. Possibly the Sanford game. We've talked about some different things, but it's hard to make some of them up.
Yeah. How do you plan to do right field? How do you plan to handle Tanner's spot in order?
It's going to be matchup. We're trying to look at some different things. We're going to need some guys to play late in the game because they're better defensively. Some guys right-handed, some guys left-handed. We got a couple infielders we've shot out there too to see them. So we're doing it in a lot of different ways. Hopefully we get Tanner back in a couple weeks there, but we just don't know anything at this point right now. It could be, how he responds to everything. But we're just playing it by ear.
With the USM game, does that have to be made up in Pearl or can it be made up here or in Hattiesburg?
No, it's a Pearl game, but right now we don't have a date. So between us and them and the Braves, it just gets to be a little tricky.
What's kind of the scouting report this weekend on Quinnipiac?
Well, they played in a regional final last year at East Carolina, and East Carolina had to beat them twice. So they've got some guys in there who played some big-time baseball and played in a big atmosphere. They like to run, so it's a team with some good base runners. I think they have 3 or 4 guys who had over 15 stolen bases last year, so I think we'll see somebody try to run. They've been on the road for a couple weeks, so they haven't played great to this point, but we know they have some potential in there to, play good baseball from their past.
With how well Kessler's kind of done in his starts and things, why mess with that? I guess a little bit. Why?
Well, he'll pitch this weekend too.
Okay.
So he'll pitch this weekend too. But Bednar's been really good in his too. So trying to figure it out. We just feel like we got to get Christian to the front side and Carlisle will have some midweek starts and some weekend opportunities. So he's gonna be a big piece still. But just being able to put a guy in there where Will's at and see how he does.
I believe before the season started, you mentioned Rokos is maybe a guy that could pitch some and things. Is he still?
He's not available right now, so
Okay.
we're trying to get him back out there. But
Gotcha.
right now, we're fighting him a little bit too. Not him. He's doing everything he can.
Yeah.
But he's just trying to get him back out there to pitch.
Same with Egan, just trying to work him back too from injury.
But they're dealing with some minor stuff
Gotcha.
that we're trying to figure out. So.
What was the reception of the team when you kind of told them the injury situation with Tanner and JT?
Well, I think some of them kind of had a feeling. It probably hit us last week a little bit. I think that's where it hit us. I think they've kind of come to grips with it a little bit. We're just trying to get some second opinions for JT. Tanner's was, obviously I think we all saw it in the game. I know it wasn't a real live feed, but him coming out, you can kind of tell. So they're a resilient bunch. This group has been through a lot, and we have a lot of good players. But it's just more my buddies. You hate to see somebody go through, have to go through some injury stuff. So I think that's the biggest piece. They're still confident they can go out there and play good baseball, but you just hate it for your teammate.
Tanner was excited getting back in the lineup after the first injury. What does it feel like for him now?
Yeah, I haven't talked to him I talked to him on the phone, but he's just, I'm sure he's disappointed. He was probably a little loopy when I talked to him. So, but he's such a tough kid. I mean, I went out there in the right field. He wouldn't let me take him out in that Long Beach game, and I told him to grab my hand. He grabbed my hand, shook it as hard as he could, and then, I think it got him a couple innings later. So he's one of the toughest kids you'll coach. So he'll have to go through rehab, and we'll have to figure out everything. And hands are just tricky in baseball, especially for hitters.